Yep.
Awesome. So thanks for the intro, Liam. So as Liam mentioned, I'm Jalen from Squadi. So I'm one of the account managers that sits within the Squadi team. So purely this evening, we are focusing this session on referees, and that's all things referees specific to the match day. So walking through those duties on the app. Now, it is worth noting that this is a mobile first application, Squadi, and that is all completed on the app. So as a way of introduction and leading into the agenda, what I will go through is highlight the agenda that we will be going through this evening. So the agenda that we will be going through is workflow by workflow. So what I'll do is I actually will share my screen as part of that and highlight that workflow in the app as to where you access that and the workflow to complete for each of these actions. So the first one that we'll begin with is signing into the app. And after signing into the app is where you see your availabilities and unavailabilities and how do you mark yourself in terms of your availability. Thereafter, we'll then go into the process of receiving and accepting appointments. So that is when you receive an appointment and then how you accept an appointment. Now, you may have the opportunity, or you will have the opportunity to say yes or no once you receive an appointment and also receive a notification as part of that process. And then lastly, we'll go through the match day functions, so before and after. So specifically reviewing the team sheets, so where you access those team sheets through the app and have visibility of both teams. Then entering any scores, sanctions, and any disciplinary matters. And then lastly, working through the submitting of a send-off report as well. So they're the core functions that we will be working through this evening. So as Liam mentioned, any questions that you do have, please place them in the chat and we'll go through through answering each of them as they come through. We will just complete each of the workflows and then we will pause and then we'll ask those questions specific to that workflow. So do just ask for you to listen as we go through the first workflow and then so on, we'll pause. So what I'll do now is I will stop sharing my screen, my computer screen, and I will share my phone. So bear with me as I transition. Liam, if there's any questions, feel free to read those out, but I don't think there may have been any that's come through. So we're off to a good start.
Not just yet. I'm sure there'll be plenty.
All right, my phone should be kicking in any second.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so first step is for those that don't know, we are a mobile first and an app application. So what you do need to do is download the Squadi app. So to download the Squadi app, it is available to Android and all Apple iPhones. In saying that, it's available on the Apple iOS store as you would download any other app, and then same for Google Play Store. So as part of that process, you do need to download the app. Once you've downloaded the app, and you would find the app under the search engine, so just using Squadi, that's spelled Squadi. Once you've downloaded Squadi, you will see that it's the purple looking app with the circle purple ball, as we call it, or soccer ball. What we're going to do is we will jump in to the app. So I'll show you as you've downloaded the app, you will see it on your home screen now, and you'll select that app. Now, once you are in the app, you will need to sign in. So complete the sign in process. So that is really a requirement to sign in. So there has been a couple of questions that I've seen come through already, and in regards to if you've got children or yourself is refereeing, what you do need to do is we do encourage those younger referees or referees, if they do have a mobile device, for them to use their own email address and to sign in. If not, that's completely fine. You will just sign in through your device, and then you essentially will link your child to your account.
It's too complicated.
What we'll do is we'll go through the process of signing in. So once you're in the app, you will see that there is a couple of options here. What you do need to select is the log back in. You can create an account, but as part of the process and the appointing process, you should have already received an email already, and that email will prompt you to sign in and download the Squadi app. Now, to sign in, what you do is you press log back in. Now, my details have already defaulted here, being my email address and my password. You will need to put in your details. If you do not remember your password or you haven't got a password that's generated, to you, which you should have received an email. If not, all good. What you do is you simply just press forget password and reset password, and then that will prompt you to put in your email address. For example, it would give you the option whether you would like an email or SMS. You'd press next, and then you place in your email. By placing in your email, that will re-trigger a email with a temporary password. If not, you can place in a new password at the same time, and then you will sign in with those details. Now, in terms of signing in, once you place in your email address and your password, you'll press login. Now, as you log in, this will be the default screen that you will see. Now, bear with me on this. So as you sign in, you will see that there is a name in the top left-hand corner. Now, that is the primary account holder. That is the primary account holder of the account. Now, that may be yourself or that may be your child. For the instance that you're signing in, you should see your name in that top left-hand corner. What we do is we call this our home screen, and you can see that by the indication in the bottom left-hand corner that we are in the home section. And this is what we call where all our match cards and news and feed updates appear. So this is the home screen and where you can navigate to see your match cards and where you're assigned as a referee. So up the top, you can see some news and updates. That is just information that's been put up by the owners of the competition, or any information or key information that you may be required to be educated on that's been put out by the competition owners. That's where it will populate. Underneath there, you will see your schedule. So this will be the schedule of your match cards. So as part of this process, you will see your match cards start to populate here. Now, if you've signed in and you're not seeing any match cards, that may simply just mean that you haven't been appointed to a match yet. So once you're appointed is when you will see your match cards populate. What I'll do there, Liam, is I'll just pause there because we've gone through the process of downloading the Squadi app. We've signed into the app, and then we've just identified that we're on the home screen. And what we'll do is we'll take some questions now before we continue on.
So there's a couple of questions in the chat as well. So Dimitri has asked who will send us the email asking us to log into Squadi. So most Premier referees should have got the email already today. From a regional point of view, we may need to just confirm any of those referees within Coffs Harbour, Tamworth and Mid Coast. Who'll be on those that we don't already have. So we will make that a point of importance tomorrow, an urgency tomorrow, to make sure that we get a list of those referees so we can send them this link. Seb said he's downloaded the app, but gets an error saying, oops, something went wrong, please try again later, and there's no option to sign in. Jalen, you get any advice for that, mate?
So is he, what was that? He's saying that he's seeing, so
is he the app, but gets an error saying, oops, something went wrong, please try again later, and there's no option to sign into the app.
Okay, so on that one, is he seeing a login option? I mean, I think with one, anything that like that, you should be seeing a login button. What I would suggest is just double tapping if you're on an iPhone, just to clear your app. So just kill the app and then jump back in. You don't need to delete it and reinstall it. You should just be able to kill it, and then you'll be able to jump back in and sign in. But happy to stay online afterwards if you're having trouble signing in, and we can go through and take a look at that.
So a couple of things. A couple of people saying, when they go in, all they can see is add a team. Is that just because they haven't been appointed to anything yet, Jalen? Or
that means that would be that they're on this screen here. What they do is they need to, the way that they check that they're signed in is if on the home screen and they're seeing a name in the top left hand corner. So this, in terms of the draw and the add a team, that's if you're wanting to follow a team. So it's probably worth noting as well to everyone that this app is used by all roles. So not just referees, it's also used by players, it's used by spectators, it's used by managers, it's used by coaches. So as part of the functionality of the app, you do have the ability to see view draws and ladders. So that is an option. So you can add a team in to follow a draw, and then as a respect of that, see their ladders as well.
Okay, there's a couple of people here still saying that they are on home, and it's they are definitely on the home screen, and it's still saying add a team.
So that means that they haven't been signed, they haven't signed in. So they should be able to see a log back in option there, and they need to sign in.
Excellent. Okay. Couple of other quick ones here. Now, if anyone has a major issue, we won't go through. If it's just an individual issue, we'll try and do the collective here. I'm on my app, signed in, but all it shows me is my club games as a player and not any appointed games for refereeing. What's the advice there, Joe?
Correct. So that means, so if you're on this screen and you're not seeing any match cards, so what I mean by match cards is what you're seeing here, refereeing, and then it states, that simply means that you just have not been appointed to a match yet. So as you are appointed to a match, you'll see a match card that will appear here on this screen as your schedule. So you may not have any appointments as of yet. If you're a player, if you're a coach or a referee, your match cards will all appear on this screen as well. If you don't have any match cards, that simply means that you have not been appointed specifically to a match with the specific role yet.
So Jalen, with Phoenix in particular, I went in today and put in all the referees and I published, but it seems that it isn't showing for Phoenix. I don't know if that's something that he'd have to log back out and back in potentially.
Yeah, I think maybe with any specific examples, happy to hold on the phone and just call at the end I just conscious I don't want to go through a troubleshooting session with every individual. So what we'll do is we'll just work through those workflows, but definitely happy to stay online and work with anyone that's not seeing appointments. And there's also the support line and emails that we're happy to attend to as well.
No, so just for those that don't have their email, sorry, Connor, jump in. For those that don't have their email, if you haven't got that yet, then by all means get in touch with Connor or Jared tomorrow, and we'll sort you out with getting that email.
Yeah, just for some of the younger referees as well, the email would have gone through to the email that's used to log in on Play Football. So if that might not be your personal one, it could be your mum or dad. So it's best to check those emails as well.
Cool. Just before we move on to the next part as well, so is there an issue in terms of traffic on the app that will stop you being able to log in? No, from my understanding, Jalen, you know the technical stuff better than I do, but the app itself and the system itself can upsize and downsize based on the traffic there at the point, so there should never be an issue there. I think what we might do, we might jump on to the next bit, but we probably at the end, Jalen, if you're happy to, just work through with a couple of there's certainly a couple of people in here that are still getting it's saying their name and welcome, but it's still saying add a team, and it's not.
So that's completely fine. So if you're seeing that means you haven't been appointed yet to a game yet. So that will be the default screen until you receive an appointment. Or you may not be signed in. It just depends if you're seeing your name or not. But like I said, happy to stay online afterwards. So the next one we want to work through is, so once you've signed into the app, the first step is you want to go through the process of setting your availabilities. Now, to do the availability process through the app, you do select in the right-hand corner. So you can see on the bottom right-hand corner of my screen that there's 3 little dots and then it says more. You select that option. And then you'll see a display of multiple options, essentially, that appears across this menu. To set your availability, you do need to go to referee availability. Now, it's worth noting if you're signing in and you're not seeing under the more option referee availability, that simply means that you've not been allocated the role of a referee yet. And that means that you just need to reach out to the Northern New South Wales team, and then they will assign you and move you across as a referee if you're not seeing your referee availability option. Once you see your referee availability option, to place in your availabilities, you select referee availability. And then that will open up a screen which will present a grid, and that grid is based on times and days. Now, it's worth noting that they're green grids, and that's how it will default to. Will show that your availability, or that you've marked yourself by default as available. So to mark yourself unavailable and to go through that process, you can see here that the first couple of days of the week have been blocked out. You've got the ability to filter up the top here, so you can filter week by week, depending on which week you'd like to place in your availabilities. To do so, what you need to do is you can see on the left-hand side of the grid that there is the times, and then on the top there is the dates. So to mark yourself unavailable, Simply what you do is you do select the grid. Now, it's hard to tell because I'm sharing my screen, but you can just select, or you can hold the screen and drag downwards, and then that will highlight the grid, and the different areas that you've touched is red. Red indicates that you're unavailable for those times, so therefore you won't be appointed because you've got yourself or marked yourself as unavailable. So to complete your availabilities, once again, you go to the More option in the bottom right-hand corner, and then you go to referee availability. As mentioned, if you're not seeing referee availability, that means that your profile hasn't been marked as a referee yet, and they will do that. Northern New South Wales will make that transition for your account and your role to your profile. You select referee availability, then you go through the process of marking yourself unavailable by touching the grid. So red indicating that you're unavailable. Once you've marked yourself as unavailable or areas as unavailable, to save that selection, you simply press the save button, and then that will populate a message that says schedule successfully updated. So therefore you can see now that I've saved my availabilities, and then I can go on to the following week, or I can transition if I'm wanting to make any changes to the previous weeks to my availability. So they will store and sit in there until you make any respective changes and select save. So we'll just pause there again, Liam and team, and just make sure that we're covering any questions that may have come up.
I don't think there's any specific questions on the availability. I think it's just a couple more figuring out whether we are assigned as referee or not. So I think we're happy to keep on the moment.
Awesome. All right, so the next workflow that we will transition towards, so that's just a summary of referee availability. What we'll go through now is the process of receiving and accepting appointments. Now, where this is done is on your home screen. So once again, we are in the bottom left-hand corner, and this is where we began when we signed into the app. So you will see, as you're appointed to matches, you will populate on what we call a match card. And that match card is by where you will see your appointment. So you can see here that I had an appointment earlier for this evening, or actually for a match that's starting at 6:20 p.m. this evening, where you have the ability to see that match and say yes or no. And then you can also see future matches as well that you've been appointed to. So to respond or to say yes to a match, the process that you do is you do select yes, and then that will indicate true to the competition owner that you've been appointed to the match and that you've accepted that appointment as yes. You do also have the ability to press no. So if you're not wanting to referee that particular match, that's absolutely fine. As part of that process, you can select no. Now, what you will notice is, depending on the settings that have been set by Northern New South Wales, in terms of there is an ability to close off, so last minute changes in terms of you changing to no, there is an ability for that to be blocked off. And if you are selecting no and seeing a pop-up to please contact an individual or reach out an individual, that simply means that the change is made within too small a time frame, and therefore you need to contact that individual or the competition owner in regards to making any further changes with your appointment. Now, what we'll do is we'll jump straight into this referee card. So what we'll see here is that you will see your match cards here, and you can select that card. So by selecting that card, so if we take the card up the top, for example, for the match that's starting on the 19th of April at 6:20 p.m, as you select that card, it will open up and there'll be a menu of options which you see on my screen here. So you will see the game details, you will see the logos of the clubs that are playing each other, providing that they've been inputted in, and then you'll see that your role's being refereeing, and then you'll see the teams and then the competition. Now, as part of this process, you can also see the team sheets. So you have visibility of the team sheets. So the team sheets that have been submitted by team 1 and team 2. So of both teams that you're refereeing. So to view the team sheets, you do simply press team sheet. Now you will see that on the left-hand side, you can see that there's a selection of team 1, and then on the right-hand side, there's a selection of team 2. So these are the team sheets that have been submitted by both teams, and you can see those team sheets by seeing the individuals that have been selected in the starting lineup. that will appear under playing. And then you can see the section that the individuals that they've put under the bench. And then there may be some individuals as part of this that be not playing. So this is the team sheet that they have submitted. You can see that for both teams. Now, it is worth noting that depending on the competition rules and regulations in terms of when team sheets are locked for teams, that if it is locked and there is any requirement of the team sheet to be changed last minute because the team sheets have been changed, you as a referee have the ability to override at all times to make any changes. So you can make any changes to the team sheet of either of the teams at any time to overwrite any changes or make any changes that are required. So to make any changes, to make a change, whether that be for team 1 or team 2, it is the same. So for example, if Charlie Griffiths, for example, was no longer playing and starting in the 11, you deselect on the right-hand side, Charlie, and then that will place Charlie under to the not playing area. And for example, they may want to put, for example, another individual that might be Hank Tom, for example, within their lineup. So that is the process that you need to go through, only if they need to make team sheet changes. So that would be done with the team if there is any team sheet changes that need to be made under the conditions. So that's a visibility piece across both team sheets prior to the match. As well as that, it's also worth noting that you can see their photos. So you can see, for example, when we are in a testing environment for Jack Miller, to see Jack Miller's photo, you can select on the left-hand side where you're seeing the photo appear, and then that will bring up the individual or the player's name by first and last name, and then it also bring up their date of birth and their FFA number as well. So that's what we call to view the actual match card in terms of the actual player card. So that will populate on the screen if you're wanting to check any individual. As part of this card as well, you also have visibility of the other referees that you'll be appointed with. So you can see here, for example, that we've selected game referees. As we've selected game referees, it's broken out the visibility of each of the referees that you are appointed with. So you can see here, for example, the match referee, the assistant referee 2, and then there may be other officials if required, or assessors or anything like that, depending on how the competition's been set up. So you will see as part of this as well, you can see that they've got their mobile number for contacting purposes as well, if required, next to their name. So this is a functionality that we just brought out most recently, and we'll continue to build out as required for any changes that we receive. So game referees gives you the ability to see those other referees you're appointed with. So you can see those other referees by selecting game referees. As part of this match card as well, you can see the field. So you can see that this is on field 10. If you are to select field 10, that also does take you to Google Maps. Google Maps being the actual location, the specific location of where that field is. And we'll just pause there before we go into the match day duties, because I'm just conscious that we did go through a lot. So in summary, what we did there is we went through the process of how you say yes or no, so accept or decline an appointment. And that's done on the match card by selecting yes or no. And then what we did is we went into the match card and we viewed the team sheets by selecting the team sheet option. And you can see both team sheets submitted by team 1 and team 2. We viewed the referees, the other game referees that we were appointed with on the match day for that specific match. And then we can also see the location as part of that. So that's the location that you're refereeing at as well.
All right, so just a couple of quick things, a couple of general things that a few kind of questions coming up in terms of some people not seeing assessor appointments or a few appointments for Sunday. Bear with Connor. Not only is he on one leg at the moment, he's doing appointments across 2 systems to make sure that we don't miss out on anyone's appointments. So Connor and Brad made the call, which is the right call to do both match ref and Squadi over the next week or 2 to make sure that we don't miss out on anyone. But that obviously takes twice as much time, but we want to make sure that we transition, we don't miss anyone on the way through. So there'll be a bunch more appointments for assessors and some Sunday things going on the next 24, 48 hours. So bear in mind that as well. Another, just a quick one on the regional guys in here. So the regional appointments, whether they've done, you know, whoever's physically putting them in, whether it's, you know, Dave essentially maybe send them down to Connor and Connor pops them in for North Coast. But essentially, whether whoever's putting those in, if you've done these parts, then you will be fine to get those appointments. They will be there. A couple of questions in there. So I think there's been a couple of things on. I might get you to just add it on at the end, Jalen, if you can, just on having family accounts. I know you touched on that yesterday, the team manager one. So if you can just pop that on at the end. So for those, I know there's one or two that have asked that. Zone League is not on Squadi, so Zone League stays on match ref. This is just the Premier competitions. So the inter-district zones elected not to move to Squadi this year. Question, will something come up if someone plays for a team? Will it come to you on the team sheets? I'm not quite sure what that question means there, Aidan, but it does prompt one thing that Jalen touched on. At a certain point, the team sheets will be locked to the teams. We're going to have that pretty late, like maybe 10 to 15 minutes before the match starts. However, once that time elapses, so once you get to 15 minutes before the game, if someone pulls up, does a hammy in the last 2 minutes of the warm-up, the teams will need to come and see you. And then that's what Jalen went through there in terms of changing those players if you have to. The clubs are all well aware on how to do this as well. Essentially, as Jalen clicked on those players there, it came up with just popping them in popping them on the starting lineup, and you just do that in conjunction with the team official there. They'll let you know who to replace and what to do. So yeah, just if they play up a grade, yeah. So there is an ability. So team managers have been shown how to borrow a player essentially. So if we've got an under-14 squad and they've got a couple of 13s jumping up, as Jalen's shown on the screen there, they just go in and add a player, and they can borrow that player from other parts of the club as long as they're in line with the rules and regs there. Alex asking, what will you see if you're only the assistant ref? I think to this point, all the other stuff is fine. In terms of team sheet, you don't see the team sheet as the assistant ref as yet. Is that right, Jalen?
Yep, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't see that team sheet for that game. It's just the referee that does that as well. So Seb, I know you've got a question in there saying that there's no referee availability for you, even though you've had a bunch of emails indicating you can add as a ref. I think we'll look at that one specifically for you, mate, rather than talk it through here. So if you want to hang on at the end or get in touch with Connor tomorrow at some point, that might be the best way to deal with that one. All right, Jalen, I think we're good to move to the next part.
Awesome. All right. So the last workflow that we are going to go through, and obviously the most important is the process of adding any scores in. Also, in the instance that there's substitutions involved, so placing in those substitutions, so those players coming in and off, as well as any disciplinary matters, so specifically around red or yellow cards as part of the process. So you will see, for example, if we jump back to the home screen, you will see that your match card will remind you to complete the action log. So this is what we call where you place in the actual results in terms of match day. So you can see on this specific match card that it is reminding you to verify the action log. Now, it's worth noting that this is simply just a reminder. Now, this match card will not clear until you've actually placed in the scores and completed the cards. So, for example, if you've had back-to-back matches and you simply just haven't had enough time to complete this process, that's absolutely fine. That will remain on the home screen until you have the time to complete it. So that will remain there. And you will see a beautiful little yellow banner that will say verify action log. And that simply just means that you need to place in the scores that you wrote down specifically regarding that match. So to complete and place in your scores, any disciplinary and substitutions as part of the process, you select the card and you will see down the bottom of the screen, verify action log. So you simply press verify action log. As part of that process, you will now see this is the action log process, and this is actually displayed publicly as well. So as you start to see fixtures and draws, and there's accumulation of data, this is essentially where it's all populated and done by the referee on the match day and where it's inputted. So to complete the action log, you will see that there is a timeline plus button. And what you need to do is you do need to select that plus button. As you select that plus button that sits next to the timeline, you will see that there are multiple selections. And the first selection is to ask which team the action relates to. So for example, what we'll do is we will do a goal to start with, and then we'll follow through with other actions. So the first action is selecting that team. So for example, we are completing an action for team 1, and then it asks for the type of action. So the type of action, for instance, we will place in goal for this specific example. And then we'll ask specifically the type of goal. So you may have instances, so for example, there may just be an infield or in-play goal that would fall under normal. They may be classified as a penalty, or for example, it may be classified as an own goal. So just statistics that are captured through the system. For the purposes of this example, we will select normal goal, and then it'll ask you for the period. So the period being in terms of, was it the first or the second half that goal was scored? So you would select, for example, what period that fell in. So we're going to do the first half, so period 1. And then it'll ask you the match time. So the match time that the goal was scored. So you will see that there is the minutes that will populate that are applicable to the match. So if it is a 90-minute match, you will see all 90 minutes that will be placed here. And you will just select the minute that the goal was scored that you had recorded. So for example, we're going to select the 18th minute. We'll press done. And then in the instance that there is a goal that's scored in added time, you do have the ability to also add in that added time as well. So that's the same process, for example, as the match time. So for example, we're going to do a goal to team 1. This is a normal goal, and it's in period 1 on the 18th minute. So after you've completed those selections, down the bottom, you will see that there's a blue button that says next, and you will select that button. And then it'll bring up and populate all the players. And this is specifically based off the team sheet and all the individuals that populated and were submitted by the team. So you can see that list here. And then simply what you do is you will select the goal that's marked against that individual and that scored that goal. So to do so, for example, we're going to select Tom Bolt as scoring the goal, and we will select goal, and then that will populate and turn to blue. Now, it is worth noting here that we do have the ability, or the ability is engaged, to apply assist. Now, that is not mandatory. So if you do not capture or don't want to capture the assist, you simply do not place that in. You don't have to touch the assist field. You can just place in the goal. That is just an option that appears. Once we've placed in the goal and selected a goal, as we've done so for Tom Bolt, down the bottom, you'll press done. Once you press done, you will see that goal will now add itself onto the timeline. So we'll now see that, for example, we put in a goal for Tom Bolt. He's wearing jersey 505 and he scored a goal. And you can also see on the top of the screen that it is now 1-0. Now, if you do make a mistake in this process, so for example, you've accidentally put in the wrong individual, or you didn't mean to put in a goal, to edit this or edit the action log, what you do is you simply just select the name or the goal where it's appearing on the left-hand side. So if you do select that, it will open back up and you can review that goal. So that will allow you to edit and make any changes, or you can just delete it. So for example, if I placed in the incorrect minute, I'll just edit the minute and change that to the 21st minute. And then there's also the option in the top right-hand corner to delete that action if required, if you accidentally put in a goal. So I'll press done, and then you'll see that the minutes will update on the action log as well. Now, what we'll do is we'll now go through the process of adding in a yellow or red card. So to do so, it is the same process. You're selecting the timeline plus button, and you will see the options as well. So the team, so for example, we're going to select team 1 again. This time as the type, we're going to select a foul. In this process, what we'll do is it will populate the details of the different disciplinary codes applicable to yellow cards and red cards. So as part of that process, we're going to, for example, mark this as a Y1. Now, it is worth noting that we will be adding in the description of the Y1, the Y2, etc. We do understand that the younger referees or referees sometimes may not know what each of them represent. So that's something that we will be developing, or we've got in development at the moment, to roll with into the system shortly. To do so, for example, we are going to select a yellow card for this example. And then what we'll do, it is the same process. So when was the yellow card given? So period 1, let's make that it was given in period 2. And then again, once again, you're going to select the minute that the yellow card was given. So for example, we're going to select the 58th minute. Once you've done that, you do just select next. So the same process as a goal, and then it will request which player that you are marking that yellow card against. So once again, we're going to select an individual. So this time it's going to be Trent O'Brien that received the yellow card, and we'll press done. Now you will see that will then, once again, populate onto the timeline. So you can now see that we've done a goal to Tom Bolt, and then we've done a yellow card to Trent O'Brien. Same once again. So if you do need to edit the yellow card, for example, you've given it to the wrong individual, or you do need to delete it because you made a mistake, that's absolutely fine. Once again, you do select yellow card, and then that will open up, and then you have the ability to make any changes and edit that or delete that. The last action that we'll go through will be a substitution. So to do that, once again, it is the same process. By that, you select the team. So this time we'll do team 2. And then as part of that process, you will select update lineup or substitution. Then once again, you'll select the period as you have done for the any disciplinary actions or goals, and then you'll select the match time. So for example, we're going to select that there was a substitution made within the 70th minute or 71st minute. Now, once you've done that, you do just select next, as we've done on the previous actions. This will then populate the team sheet of the individuals that were submitted. And then you will see that you have the ability of seeing all those individuals that were playing. So originally on the team sheet. And what you can do is you can see that you've got the individuals that were sitting on the bench. So to make a substitution, you simply deselect. So you deselect the individual that's coming off. So under playing, you deselect on the right-hand side, the tick box. So for example, if Kelly Slater is going to be coming off, we deselect Kelly Slater. Kelly Slater will then move into the bench. And then what you'll do is you'll select the individual that's coming on. So for example, we're going to select Brendan that's coming on. Once you've made your substitution, so you can add multiple substitutions as part of this process, that's absolutely fine. In this instance, we've just done one off and one in. Now you will see that then populate onto the timeline. So for those two changes that we've just made, so similarly to the yellow and the goal, you will see that the individuals will then populate. So this was a substitution that was made for team 2. You can see that Brendan High has come on and that Kelly Slater has come off. So you can see that marked and populated on the action log. Now, what we'll also do as part of this process is we'll add in a red card. So as part of that process, we're going to follow through and show you how to do the send-off report. So what we're going to do, just to walk through that process again, is we're going to go to timeline. We're going to give a red card to team 2. We're going to select the period, and then we're going to select the minute. So for example, we're going to select that there was a red card given in the 86th minute. And then we'll select next. Same process as always, you will need to select the actual individual that action applies to. So for example, we're going to give the red card to Tony, and then we'll press done. Now you will see that now that's the action log that's being populated based on the actions. As mentioned before, if you need to make any changes, that's absolutely fine. You can just select the action, and then that will open up and allow you to edit that action as part of the process. Now, if you have put in here the scores and your actions and you've just jumped back out, that's completely fine. It will ask you, do you need to confirm the action log? That's simply just reminding you if you need to submit it. If you say no, that's absolutely fine. Those details will store in the action log, so they do not delete themselves. So if you've filled it out and you need to complete it later on because you've got another duty or attendance to go to, they will still hold. The last step that you need to go through is in the top right-hand corner. So once you've placed in and gone through the process of adding in any goals, any disciplinary matters, and any substitutions, depending on the competition rules and regulations. If you do need to do substitutions, in the top right-hand corner, you do need to select verify. So by selecting verify in the top right-hand corner, that is submitting the scores. And then you'll see a pop-up that appears, and that will just simply be reminding you that team 1 versus team 2. So they will say the teams that you are refereeing on the day as 1-0. So it's just reminding you and confirming that you put in the correct score. If you haven't, you press no, and then that will just allow you the opportunity to jump back in and make any changes if required. If it is the correct score, you press yes. As part of doing that, it will automatically take you to the send-off reports workflow. So it will default you to that process now. If we jump back to the home screen, just as a note, you can see now that it's saying a reminder to complete the send-off report. Now, we are conscious, and it is a send-off report that sometimes can take an individual, a longer period of time to submit that send-off report. So once again, if you need to complete the send-off report at a later date, so that may be in the evening or the following day, that will still store in terms of that send-off report, and it will store as a reminder against that match card until you've completed it. Until you've completed it, it will stick there on the home screen, reminding you to complete. Now, in the instance that there was no send-off report, so no send-off report needed, so for example, there was no red cards, then as you submit the score, that card will remove itself because everything's been completed. But because we've given a red card, it's now requiring us to go through the workflow of completing a send-off report. So to do that, you do need to just jump back in to the process, and then you'll see that there is the send-off report that sits there. Now, to complete the send-off report, so for example, we've given Tony a red card. We're going to select send-off report. As part of that, it'll bring up the send-off report form. Now, it's worth noting that we've had multiple discussions with Northern New South Wales, and we will be updating this send-off report to match the send-off report that you guys are currently doing within your form stack and your process. So keep in mind, as you're seeing this form, that this will be updated specifically to the process that you are running through at the moment, in terms of the specific questions, etc. So you will see as we go through this send-off report that there are some similarities, but as mentioned, we will be developing this in the coming weeks to roll this out. You will see that it will default with your details that are already populated there, so that there's no need to be required to be filled out. So your first, your last name, and your email address. We've also got your mobile number there. So this mobile number is not disclosed to anyone else except for the competition owner, so that the club or nothing like that will see this mobile number. It's just simply if any questions or any further matters need to be involved in terms of a discussion specific to this send-off report. It'll also have the details of the incident. So because we've already been able to track the minute will be stored against the individual. You can see there that it's also got their name populated as well as that. It will then populate the date and the time of the incident, so that will be automatically recorded, and then it'll go through the process of asking you the questions that you're all familiar with during the process. So specifically asking you if it was a Y1, Y2, etc. And then the questions will be specific to that process as you're familiar to filling out at the moment. You will then have
just a quick one on that, Jalen.
Yep.
So yeah, obviously that report there doesn't look like what we've been using just now. In the interim, we understand that's going to be a little bit different until we get our report on there. So just do the best you can with the report that's there. It's not quite as we have gone very deep with a lot of the questions on ours to try and prevent us having to go back and ask you guys for more information. That's not covered in this one at the moment, but it will be shortly. So do the best in there with the information you've got, and if we have any further questions that are not covered in that, then we'll reach out to you. So just give the best information you can.
Yeah. And then essentially as part of this workflow, so you will see here that if there's any fields that obviously aren't answered or filled out, you do need to just fill them in. So I'm just going to place in some dummy data for this example. Now, once you've completed all the questions that are specific to yourself, we'll obviously just remind you of any that you need to fill out. So I still have not filled that one out correctly. It will then take you to following questions. So as Liam mentioned, there is a subset of questions that sit in here at the moment. So these are somewhat similar, but not exactly what you're used to at the moment. And we will be updating those specifically to the workflow that you guys are used to going through. It just asks some general questions at the moment, specifically around where did the incident take place? Where were you in relation to the incident and who was involved and what caused the incident to occur? And then what happened, as well as did anything happen after the dismissal. So some of these fields at the moment are mandatory for good reason, that they do require a response. So we're just going to place in some dummy data. And then once you've filled out that send-off report, it will just give you the option to add any additional witnesses. So anyone else that may have witnessed the actual event itself. So you can add that witness in, and you can add multiple witnesses as well. So by selecting the add witness option, and then there's a last free text box if you've got anything additional that would like to be addressed in assessing the charges and the matter. As part of that process, once you've completed the questions as required and that are mandated through the workflow, you then will see that there's a big submit button down the bottom of the page, and you will select that to submit the send-off report. So as you select submit, that will submit the send-off report, and that is your card that has been completed. So you now can see that I'm now back on my home screen. You would have seen that there was 2 matches there previously, the one for 6:20 p.m. this evening. Because I've added in my scores, completed the send-off report, and all actions have been completed, that card has now removed itself from the home screen, so you will no longer see that. You can see on the schedule that I've got another match that's coming up this evening at 9:55. So once again, it is the same process. So I've got the ability to say yes or no. The match hasn't started yet. So simply because the match hasn't started yet, you won't have access to place in the scores and verify the action log. You have visibility of the team sheets as they're placed in by the teams, and then access to the game referees as well, as we went through before. So that wraps up the workflow specific to completing any team sheet adjustments if required, and then going through the process of adding in any goals, actions such as substitution or disciplinary matters. And then the last step was going through, if required, a send-off report, filling out that send-off report, and then pressing verify and submitting that to the competition organizer.
Okay, cool. So there is a few questions in here that we'll get through. On mobile numbers being shared and not being shared, you can see the numbers of the people you're appointed with. I believe that's correct. That is in order to assist if someone's not turned up or that type of thing. That, however, is not public to anyone else. It's just the referees you're appointed with and Welsh you're appointed with them. The Cal asked if the fourth official will be able to complete the subs, etc., or just the referee. At this point, it's just the referee. It's a development we're working with Squadi to make sure that to get to the point where other referees that are appointed to games can also do that. Look, vast majority of our appointments, it will be the referee that does it, because the vast majority are youth appointments. But for those first grade ones, we understand the fourth official quite often at this point does the team sheets. So that's something we're looking to update soon. Dimitri asked, can you do the send-off report on a computer? It feels a bit clunky to do it on the phone. Julian, I think the answer to that is no at the moment. It's a bit dark in there, Julian.
Yeah. I'm still here. Apologies. I've just had I'm in office and the lights have gone off, so I think you can still see me okay. Yeah, so the send-off report at the moment is just in phone. We have received that feedback before. So that's something that we're looking to expand and making sure that's available through the web admin side in the future as well. So that's something that's definitely been acknowledged.
Good question here from Dimitri as well. Can you see the reports or cards that you previously submitted?
Is that the send-off reports?
Yeah, if you've done a send-off report, do you get a copy of that, or can you access that at any point, or once it's
No,
submitted,
so at the moment, no, that's through to the competition organizer, and then there it's up to the competition organizer from a visibility side in terms of distribution. They do have the ability, depending if that goes to tribunal, etc., to download a PDF version. It is worth noting that it is hard marked. So once the send-off report has been submitted, that obviously it's a piece of evidence, so there is no adjusting thereafter as part of that process. It is submitted straight to the competition organizer to deal with the matter.
Are we able to view historical match cards? Yes, that is. So when you go on to now, you look at any match on the app. If you just look at any draw, what you're put in there will be publicly visible to everyone. So your match log of who played, who scored, who done any of that, that will all be very public the minute you hit verify. Couple of other questions I'm just going through here. Just asking, how do you know which yellow card you've selected upon review? It won't show that on the initial screen, but at any point during that, you can click on it and figure that out. So you can just click on that when you're putting it in to check.
But Liam, is that going to be updated? Because it seems counterproductive. I mean, if you're back on that main screen and you put in a sanction, you can't see what it was. How are you going to ever know you made a mistake if you've made a mistake? You know, if it was to show that it was, for example, wide 2 that you entered, and you look back at your notes and you go, oh shit, it's wide 1. I better go in there and fix it. You're not going to know. All you see is I've given the yellow card. That's it. I'll put it in there. Seems a bit of a pain in the butt to have to go and back into that other screen to check what you've put in.
Look, Dimitri, to be fair, I'm pretty sure it's no different to what we do now. You look at it, you put it in, you move on to the next one. So I accept that. We can chat to John about how that's displayed. We are working with them and how that's displayed when we select it. But yeah, and again, this is the type of thing when we're saying we're going to be pretty relaxed. If it's not the right Y code or R code for that, we're not going to be coming down on that. It'll be, let's kind of learn from this as well to make sure we're getting that there. Just looking at any other questions in here. So the one thing that we haven't touched on at this point, team officials are not on the team sheet. So that is something that has been added shortly. So team officials are not on the team sheet there. Essentially, those team officials now have their passes. So no pass, you're not on. Don't care if you're on a team sheet or not. Your pass should get you on there for PYL and NPL and Northern League 1. So that is something I'm going to be adding to that a little bit later. So you won't have to deal with that at the moment. If there is any red cards or yellow cards given to that, we ask that you will potentially keep the previous send-off report available in its normal position, and you can jump on and do a team official send-off report as you would have done prior to this until we get the team officials into the app. So Dimitri, just on that, how do we sanction the against the team officials in the interim? So that will be essentially for any red cards, it'll just be the normal send-off report that we've done in the past, and for any yellow cards, essentially either an instant report or an email through to competitions. If that's the case, hopefully it's not too long until we get the team officials on, but in the interim we'll do that in a different way. All right, any other questions coming through? Are instant reports accessible through Squadi? So a general instant report, Jalen, where are we at with that in terms of, yeah, there we go. So in terms of floodlights failing or other, yeah. Can you just explain where you found that one, Jalen?
Yeah, so that was actually a setting, so it's applicable. So you wouldn't have seen that before. I just turned that setting on, so it's a setting applicable to the competition. So you will see that it'll appear as a report incident, and you do select that, and then it'll give you the ability to place in an incident. So whether that's a general matter or anything else specific, It's also worth noting as well that we also will be adding in the ability within here to forfeit a match as well. So if there's any changes in regards to matches, we will be adding an ability to forfeit the match, and that's the ability for the referee to make that action. So that's something that will be rolled into the system as well. So I think on that point, it's also worth noting to everyone as well that the app that you're seeing today is not going to be the app that you're going to be seeing next month. The following month, we are continuing to make updates month on month. So this app will be continually developed. So any feedback is obviously welcomed at all stages. We do take all feedback seriously. So do make sure you do feed that back onto the Northern New South Wales team, and we'll make sure that we make those adjustments as we receive them. So please do give us feedback as you begin to use the app.
Jalen, I know we spoke about this. Brad's just prompted me to remind me to ask us the who is where function. I know we spoke about that in terms of being able to see. That's something that MatchRef obviously offered, and it was about basically seeing what referees were on what area or what games, and where the gaps were. Where are we at with having something like that?
So is that in terms of a general visibility of all matches and then all their appointments? Is that correct, Liam?
Yeah, so basically being able to see what matches this week don't have appointments and who is where, essentially.
Yeah. So from a public interface, that's something that's not available at the moment. There is the ability on the web admin side by the competition owner, so they can produce an export. So that data is all very accessible, and that can be placed on. I understand that you guys are currently using a portal at the moment, or may have a specific interface. So that is information that can be easily exported and uploaded, but that's something that we're looking to develop and roll out.
Cameron just asking when Cal's going to be able to raise the bat with his 100 matches. But serious question in amongst that is, can we see our match appointment history, and where would we see that? Just so we know what games we've done, and Cal can raise the bat.
Yep, great question. So to see any history in regards to appointments, you do need to select in the bottom right-hand corner the More option. As you select that, you will see that there is the menu option that we were on earlier. You select My Profile. As you select My Profile, you'll see that there's the option to select My Full Profile. And then you'll see the ability as part of this to then go and see your activity. So it is also worth noting that because this is specific to a referee, you'll see referee activity. And then you'll see a summary. Now, this is also available during or via the web admin. So you can log in and see exactly what you're seeing in here. So your profile, you can see your registrations, any activity, view any statistics, any history. So this is all available via the web admin. And then via here is where you can see your history. So you can see the matches that you completed and appointments that were made and that you completed.
Okay, so in terms of general questions, I think there's no more kind of general questions coming through. Again, this will be available tomorrow on the Squadi Hub and the website. Also, please encourage your friends that we are here to make sure they come tomorrow. We want to make sure that everyone who's got a medal this weekend knows what they're doing and has had the opportunity to go through and see what to do. Again, if you have an appointment that you know you've got through MatchRef and it hasn't appeared in your Squadi, then please let us know. So get in contact with referees on the email, and we can try and sort you out there. Again, on the weekend there will be myself, Jason, or Luke will be on the phone and ready to go. There'll be a number that we'll refresh and send back out to everyone on Friday. To let everyone know who to call. Just got another question. I'm just scrolling down. Sorry, guys. So yeah, any accounts that we don't think have been registered, if you are a normal Premier referee, that's where you referee and you're based in the Newcastle area, you should have got that email already. If you haven't, please contact referees and Connor and Jared can look into that for you. From a regional point of view, what we will do, we'll reach out tomorrow to any zones that have matches this weekend or next, and get those names, one, to create those accounts for them on Squadi, and two, also for us to be able to then put them into the Squadi system from an admin point of view as well, so that they can then see their matches. So we'll make a point of that tomorrow, Connor, to go out to the zones and get that list of who will be in contention to do it, and who will be actually being appointed this weekend as well. Again, Brad's just popped in the chat there, which I think is a really good point. Anyone who's getting in touch with Connor, please try and do it via email, either his email or referees at, or SMS. He's going to be, like I say, he's doubling up his amount of appointments this week to make sure we don't miss anything. And he's also bunged up at home with a recovery from his knee surgery. So he's soldiering on and he's helping. He's been an absolute superstar through this. So let's make sure we give him the best chance. We will make sure we get through everything by the weekend. We will go through what we can tomorrow. We do have another one of these tomorrow night, so there may be some more questions there. So we won't send out anything major to everyone until we've gone through tomorrow night. So look out for anything on Friday. Again, at the very least on Friday, look out for the email that reminds you what the helpline number is as well. And hopefully if you get to tomorrow night and you're still not registered, then definitely get in touch with us on first thing on Friday morning, but we should hopefully get you all on by there. Guys, I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone. Thanks to Jalen for coming to present. You're 2 down, 1 more to go, mate. You've been a superstar even in the dark there. Again, thanks to Connor for all his hard work in this, and Brad, and of course Jason and Luke as well for their stuff in Squadi. Thanks to you guys. Again, it's really important that we get this out there. It will, once we get through the getting everyone registered and getting everyone on there and their availability on there, this will definitely be an easier way to do things for the long term, and we're pretty confident of that as well. So thank you very much to everyone. Thanks very much, Jalen, and this will be online tomorrow.
Awesome. Great meeting, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.